I am doing everything possible to talk myself out of making this video. I know for a big-time YouTuber that means that they're about to address some controversy that they were involved in. But I'm going to step into some level of controversy, some level of existential controversy even, and talking about God. G-O-D. That big word that everybody knows, everybody has heard before, and that word that will elicit such a mixed response from people. People saying that you shouldn't talk about God because God doesn't exist, or people saying you shouldn't talk about God because God is so incredibly divine and beyond anything that you could possibly speak into words. You're not deserving of talking about God. Or it's foolish to talk about God. XYZ, all these other criticisms. I don't normally like to make videos preempting any possible, negative feedback that could come my way, but this is one where I'm going to give myself a pass. So I think we can just all agree. Yes, whatever your criticism is of whatever I'm about to say about God is valid. What I say is incomplete. What I say is one person's perspective. What I say, I could probably say 1,000,000 times better at some point in the future. I need to say it imperfectly now to be able to say it in a better way later on. I have to take that first step of discussing it, even if I am discussing it poorly. But I'm going to try to keep this as pure as possible. God is source. I almost wonder if we could avoid any controversy in talking about God if we just stopped saying God and started saying source. I'm not telling anybody what they should or should not say, but I just almost think that would remove so much of the stigma to it. And so much of the disagreement that we could have with each other about it. Source. God is the infinite creator, but not a person that is standing there saying, abracadabra, everything become. God is the infinite creation as well, the active permeating, the active construction of everything that can possibly be perceived or that can't be perceived. And God is in the present tense. There are some forms of belief, schools of thought, where it's like God created everything and then just has left it and seen what's come of it since then. God is actively creating every single moment. Because in every moment, the previous moment is already gone. We only ever have this exact moment that God is creating. And God is not separate. God didn't just construct everything and everyone like whittling some things out of wood, like assembling some figurines. God is everything. He is a creator, but it's completely different from any sort of sorry, just dropped something. It's different from any other kind of creator-creation relationship that there could ever be. It's cliche, but honestly, if you want to see God, Look anywhere. And don't just look, experience anything. And you're experiencing God. Because that's another thing, is that God is experience. God isn't just a concept. God isn't just an idea. Now, those concepts and those ideas are not separate from God, because God is all creating, so God is flowing through all of those things. God is incomplete depictions of God, but is not limited to that. God exists in experience. An experience that we all already have access to. And God is infinite will. God is what allows everything. God is, like the Force in Star Wars, what holds everything together. Actually, a marvelous quote that I heard from Carl Sagan that I'm going to relay in my own words is that, the idea that God is some guy up in the clouds watching everything is absurd, is what he said. But if you want to think of God as just the complete rule set that the universe tends to follow, then there certainly is such a God. And he said, but I don't think that this God is a very easy one to worship. But my question is, why not? Why isn't it easy to worship the rule set? The fundamental framework that allowed everything to be. One way or another, that is what has allowed life. That is what has allowed existence. I think that you can worship it. It's just that thoughts and rationalization and the way that we individually, as our own little ego selves, try to derive meaning from experience, they've sort of corrupted what we think we can worship. David Foster Wallace talked about that pretty beautifully in his speech, This Is Water. I think that there's plenty to worship, even if you want to view God as the least mystical, least overblown, least religious thing that you can think of. God allows everything and creates everything and permeates through everything, regardless of how much my small self is satisfied with any of that stuff. I think that's still worthy of some level of praise. And you are God just as much as I am God, just as much as the grass that I'm looking at over there is God, just as much as everything beautiful or ugly, pleasant or unpleasant is God. I think that's just going to do it for this video. This was step one. The first terrifying step in addressing such an idea. And regardless of how how well I'm advocating for God right here, I still feel very in touch and in love with God. And I try to say thank you, God, at least once every single day.